I'm sorry, what?
Welcome back to an all-new episode of Mondays Are a Mother. I'm your host, Kaylin, and if you're new here, I'm glad you made your way to this space. I want to take an opportunity to give a huge shout-out to Zeal Sounds for getting us new mics and super quick. I also have to give a major shout-out to Tony Gray at Grayman3D for all of our signage. Wouldn't be able to have the coolest shit without you. Also, Rad Chad Sounds for over the past several weeks trying to get us back up and running. You're super sick. I just appreciate you more than you know. Now that I got all that out of the way, this week's episode is brought to you by Relapse, Recovery, and Runaways. Listener discretion is advised. If it's not for you, you don't have to stay tuned. I'll see you next week. Just know I'm going to be touching on some topics that may be a little hard. And I, of course, do nothing but get vulnerable when it comes to this show. Some of you know I was on the news this week, and we'll get into that because not everything that I had to say was aired. It was definitely aligned more so in a way to position myself against our school system when in actuality that's not it at all. So we'll start with Monday. Monday, I had to come to terms with the fact that chapters are closed, staying closed, remaining closed, and will forever be closed. Felt like breaking my celibacy and taking an opportunity on what I thought it would be with this person. I honestly felt like this was just shitty. But in the end, I can't put someone in a position to be responsible for my emotional well-being. They did what they did, and I'm happy for them. And that's all it can be. I found myself back in a dark place of replaying conversations that I knew better, and I chose differently, and ended up getting my feelings hurt. And that's not to say that I didn't expect it or that I didn't know it was going to happen. Of course I did. And I should have just let it be, but I followed my gut and I followed my intuition, and that we'll get into that a little bit more. I personally have struggled with the relationship of religion and the relationship with feeling like I am doing the right thing. Because every time I feel like I'm doing the right thing, I'm not getting the result that I thought. So then we get into Tuesday. Tuesday, our local school systems made an announcement that they would be raising school lunches by 25 cents, and sure, 25 cents. No big deal to most. And if it wasn't for it accompanied with the fact that they have cut SNAP benefits in our county, they're cutting resources for teachers to have access to be able to properly reach our youth because they are being pacified at home by phones, by parents, and allowing phones to raise them. It is becoming increasingly difficult to help these kids understand that their short-term feelings and these long-term consequences will hit you. I also talked about the fact that we as a community are desperately being impacted by our resources being removed, the development of our county. We are putting money into this new development, but it is impacting our communities. Our property taxes were raised by over 100%, and then after they were raised over 100%, all this came to be, which impacted my family quite a bit. I spoke about that, and then I spoke about the fact that our county also spent $60 billion to put in a new jail to only house 109 more inmates than they currently house, and in the words of Chris Brown, there's still wall to wall up in that bitch. It makes no sense to me. But that's where my frustration comes in. However, wherever you stand politically, I don't give a fuck. It doesn't bother me if you see things differently than I do. I think it's great that you don't find a responsibility to pay for my kids. I personally don't want for you to be responsible for paying for my children. What I want is for our finances to be allocated appropriately in our community and going towards resources that benefit our community, not just one. And I don't feel that the school did or made this decision out of malice. I don't feel that they did it in order to be like, well, here we are. My thing is that the quality of meals provided are the same ones in 2011, and that's rough. That was 15 years ago. I'm getting a little old. And Michelle Obama didn't go herself in there to have this happen, you know? And say what you want about the Obamas, but that bitch did her thing on the lunch now. I was like, oh, okay. I had two a day. Back then, they were $1.25. So take that with what you will. Wednesday, and I get into the rest of the week. I first have to apologize to Jenna. I have to apologize to Sydney. And I have to apologize to my best friend. I can't and choose not to disclose too much in that regard, but those who are named are okay with loving me loudly. I say that because, again, when you love people, you want to protect them at all costs. And my best friend, I love him dearly. And so with that, I reeling off of seeing the way that my intention was, although clipped to fit the narrative to better the community, whatever you want to call it, it still happened. And I felt misunderstood once again on a tri-county level more than I felt misunderstood in my personal relationship, and it just all came to a head. I was invited or something happened. I don't quite remember because it has all been very fuzzy. But I had to tell Jenna about the situation at hand. It didn't want to. Unfortunately, it just played out in that regard. Being the amazing, incredible, and wonderful friend she is, she wanted to be there for me, and I truly didn't want to let her. I continuously want to say that I'm okay because I can't not be okay with the way that things are. There's nothing for me. And if I focus on not being okay, or if I focus on anything else, I'm gonna know I'm not okay. Additionally, in her amazing gifts that she brought me, she brought alcohol. Now, here's where things are gonna get a little tough. Intentionally not shared a vast struggle that I have with binge drinking with certain people, so that way I'm able to still drink with them. I take accountability in that. People say that it's okay to drink once or twice a year, even if it is in excess, but when I decided to be celibate and try to heal in this journey, I also decided to take sobriety seriously. And never had an issue with Will when it comes to alcohol in the house because I use it to bake. And there wasn't anything that triggered it per se, but I wasn't well mentally or emotionally when it came to all of the events that had transpired. And when my friend Sydney came for a sleepover and suggested that we drink, I thought, why not? I continued to drink and found myself reaching out in a way that I never wanted to, and found myself having to take accountability for where I am. And I got a sponsor, and I reached out to my sponsor. It was really difficult because I knew that they looked up to me in my journey, and I did not want to disappoint him. To say the least, it was like shame, no guilt, no anything, and I'm so grateful. They offered me support in ways that, like, didn't realize that I needed. Been very anti-Al-Anon. Some of that has to do with my anger and rooted when David died. And it's not necessarily against the program, and I have to take ownership of that. I felt like it was definitely whose misery dick is the biggest in the room, and when we whipped out all of our boner, who had the worst. Truly, that's because I wasn't ready to own or face the things I was going through, because I've been taught, or not taught, just have to keep going. There's no option to dwell in it. It fucked me up. I was disappointed in what I did. I was disappointed in the position that I put my friend in and my other friends, because knowing that I chose to not tell them how difficult it is for me, I can continue the bad behavior and not feel what I'm feeling right now isn't cool. And it lets me know that I still have a problem. Not that I want to, but I do. I think I'm forever going to struggle with it. And I think that's the point of long-term recovery. Not everybody has to stay in it forever, but when you make the decision to dabble in things that you shouldn't because they are triggering to your addiction, you need it. I need it. So when you guys tell me that you're proud of me and all this stuff, I don't know how to accept it, because I don't feel worthy of it because of everything going on behind closed doors and everything that I'm struggling with. Because how can you be proud of me? I appreciate you. I appreciate each and every one of you who has taken the time to share with me your story and share with me your journey, and talking to me about the fact that you see me and you feel seen because I share my journey. I recently learned that me living out loud disqualifies me from a lot of relationships too. And you just realize that not everybody gets that happy ending in that way, and that's okay. To say that I, like, oh my gosh, like, it was me, I'm never gonna have that. But sometimes there are people in life who are just meant to love and show people how to love and show people how to show up for themselves. And sometimes those people just love so big that they don't get to have a person. And that's okay too. That doesn't mean that it's unhappiness forever, because isn't the answer, but it is often a witness. It sees you and knows you for who you are, to your deepest of souls. So after dealing with the relapse and dealing with this cycle of me ripping myself a new one for not showing up for myself, my foster decided that she is 18, mind you. She just graduated high school. When I got her, she was 18, which the situation is hers to tell. I don't want to share too many details of her journey, but it's been a rough one. And with that being said, she met a guy online and decided to go be with him. And as difficult as that is for me, I can't control her actions. I can only hope the best for her and hope that she takes anything that she's learned from her experiences here and her experiences with her previous foster family. They've tried very hard to love her as loudly and authentically as if they made her from scratch. She makes good choices. It is like grief, because I have to admit, wanted things to work out for her. She decided to quit her job and quit unenrolled from school, and that's a hard pill to swallow when you are so proud of someone and they do everything opposite of what you set them up for. But that's being a parent sometimes, you can't control. And sometimes being a parent isn't an easy job, even when they're not yours. A lot of us are put in positions to where we have to be parents to children that don't belong to us. We struggle with that because we feel a sense of guilt. We want to parent differently because it is not the best situation. So we want to give them grace. And unfortunately, with that, sometimes that does create enablement. And therefore, we repeat the cycle. You can't do that. You got to parent them like they're yours. You got to parent them as if you made them from scratch. And regardless of what they've been through, it's okay to say no. And it's okay to say that that's not going to work here. It's not going to work for me. And I've had to do that. I often want to be lenient because I feel guilty that my children have suffered a loss like mine. But if I did that, I wouldn't be a good mom because I wouldn't be showing them what accountability looks like, and I wouldn't be showing them what growth looks like. And that's something that I'm fighting for every day, even if I'm struggling mentally and emotionally. I have to show them what it's like to still be good even when it hurts. Thanks for tuning in and listening to my bullshit week. I've about had enough. I'm ready to put in my 2 weeks to being God's strongest soldier, because what the fuck is this? Like, real. Oh my god. If you have listened so far, you're probably wondering about the tip of the week in our Midday Mama mantra. Well, here it is. And honestly, when I was doing the tip of the week, I low-key was like, what the fuck? Like, kind of rude considering I did this and it turned out, for me right now, I guess, horribly. But thank you, Meta. Tip of the week. Don't wait until you feel ready. Most growth happens when you're figuring it out. Send the email, apply for the opportunity, or make the phone call. Take that first step. Confidence is usually the result of action and not the requirement for it. I've been confidently wrong as fuck lately. Man, bad, even worse. Monday Mama mantra. I don't have to have all the answers today. I only have to take the next right step. Every small action is building the life I'm working towards. Just take one step at a time. There's no need to rush. Alright, anywho. If you've tuned in so far, again, thank you so much. I know it's been a week, and having to publicly apologize to people and take this big, wide sense of accountability when it comes to my addiction and my journey is hard. But I appreciate you letting me be vulnerable and sharing what it is to be real and just fucking live through it. If you haven't already, like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. We are on all streaming platforms wherever you get your podcast, and drumroll, YouTube. So, like and follow for more episodes. Love you guys and have a great week.